Let's go ahead and talk all about how our homeschooling went in the month of November. Hi everyone, welcome to our homeschool table. My name is Jerilyn. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids, ages 11, 4, and 2, and this is our 7th year homeschooling. We started this homeschool year in the middle of August, and then we did take a week-long break at the beginning of September. And so by the end of October, we had finished our first term, and our term was 10 weeks. And then we decided after that we would take a week-long break. And that happened to be the first week of November. So like I said, our month began and ended with a vacation. So that was kind of nice. We took that week off at the beginning of November. Then we had 2 weeks of regular homeschool. And then, of course, Thanksgiving week. And Thanksgiving week, we did school Monday through Wednesday, but really Tuesday and Wednesday were our main, get a lot done homeschool days. And then we took Thursday and Friday mostly off. I did have my daughter read her Sunlight Reader on Friday. So that's a little bit about the basics of our month. So vacation was really nice, and we just stayed home. I worked on some planning for the next term and prep and getting things ready. I have some videos that I'll link up above if you want to see my planning and prep for the new term. Also in November, my daughter started her new level of Christian Light Education math. We had done Math 4 from February of this year till the week before we took our break, so the end of October. And then she started level 5 at the beginning of November, and she is on track to finish that, I think, in May or June. And then we're just going to roll on and keep going into the next grade level so that we can, not that we have to catch up, but just because it really helps her to continue on with math. So we started the new level of CLE math. We also restarted, I think it was in October actually, we started doing Math UC again, which is the math that we had used prior to switching to Christian Light Education. And not because there was anything wrong with Math UC, it was just because we needed a lot more of a spiral approach, and Math UC is a very mastery-based program. So this fall, we restarted with Math UC, and we have so far done lessons 13 and 14, and then we are now halfway through 15 as well. And I'm just doing a lesson over 2 weeks because I'm only having my daughter do Math UC on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and that's because we do a little bit less on Mondays because of our science and coffee group that comes over. And then we do a little bit differently on Friday as well. It's not the same schedule as our Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays. So it works out really well because there are about 6 worksheets per lesson with Math UC. They're lettered, so there's A through F, and then G is enrichment. She doesn't like to do the enrichment problems, which is fine with me, so I just have her do A, B, and C the first week, and then D, E, and F the second week. And that has been working really well, and she actually likes it, which is a blessing. We have had, I would say, this school year less conflict with math and language arts than we have had in the past, which is really great. And I'm not saying that there's none at all, but I am getting a lot less pushback. I'm not sure if that's just maturity or she's finally kind of settling into the different programs and the way that they work and things like that. So I'm not really sure exactly what to pinpoint as the reason, but I'm really glad about that. My daughter likes to be really independent, and she is in 6th grade. So I have actually been giving her even more independence in some subjects than she had been doing previously. So that leads me into the next subject that I wanted to talk about, which is Sunlight. So we have been doing Sunlight History, Bible, and Literature programs since she was in 1st grade. We started at level B, and we are now in level F. And so I have some videos that I can put up about those, they are 36-week long, 5-day-a-week programs. And I really like to do the 5-day-a-week program because I like all the books. I like all the options of books. And so that's just what we've done. However, because I also have 2 little kids, it's a lot of reading on my part to be able to do the read alouds with her, because there's a history spine that I need to read to her. There's a reader that she reads on her own. And so that's scheduled for you in the program. Then there's also a read aloud. And sometimes there are a few other books sprinkled in that are like history readings. And so it's going well, but I have decided to put a little bit more of the responsibility of reading on my daughter. And it's actually going really well. She doesn't love it. She would rather me read it to her, of course, but it's going okay. So I am really glad about that, because I have been working with my younger son, who's 4.5, I've been working with him on letters and sounds and a little bit of math every once in a while. Mostly he just wants to sit at the table and be with us and, do different activities at the table. But I have been trying to kind of lighten my load a little bit as far as read alouds go. And because I really like to do some other read alouds, like our Burgess Bird book, I have to be able to have a little bit less on my plate for history. Now, next year, when my daughter's in 7th grade, we are going to be loosely following Sunlight. I'll explain it in a later video, but I know that when we do that next year, she's going to be responsible for more of the reading. So that's kind of why I've wanted to get her a little bit more used to that this year. And I think it's going okay, and she's kind of getting used to it. So that's where we're at for Sunlight. We did finally finish our Vietnam on Mission magazine from the Gentle and Classical Press. And I just wanted to show you a few things in here. Towards the end, we were reading these art and music and just more about like the daily life of living in Vietnam. And sprinkled throughout here, there are these little learn more boxes with a link to the YouTube playlist that goes along with the magazine. And those videos that they have linked were really, really good. We really enjoyed them. And even my little kids liked to join in. There were videos about traveling in Vietnam. There were videos showing what the different types of housing look like. There were videos about their martial arts that they do, food that they eat. There was all sorts of videos. There were some really beautiful instruments and music that they linked to. And so that was really, really cool. And we are going to be starting the India magazine that I printed here from home in January. I decided that we're actually going to skip starting that in December because I would like to do our Advent study, which is Tabitha's Travels, and I'll put a picture of it up here. I shared about it briefly on my community tab, but I just want to be able to make time for that extra read aloud, so I wanted to take off something just for this Advent season. So that's on Mission. We are still getting together with our science group on Mondays. It's mostly a coffee group, you guys, but the girls do science while they're here. My daughter is not really into it. She loves having the friends here. She doesn't like doing the activities. And part of why I wanted her to do the activities with other people is so that we'd be a little bit more likely to do them. Because last year when we were doing the Zoology 2 book of Apologia Science, she skipped a lot of those, and I didn't really push it because honestly, to me, since she's not really a very science-minded person, she wants to do other things, not science. I just want her to have knowledge from reading and listening to the audiobook. I don't necessarily need her to fill out all the, papers, do all the crossword puzzles and things like that. And so I'm kind of bummed that she doesn't like doing the projects, even though it's not me teaching it, it's one of our friends. But that's just kind of how she is. She doesn't really want to do all the projects. She just wants to read about it and move on. And I think that's fine, because everybody has their preferences about, how they learn things. So yeah, so she's not loving science, but it's not like a huge struggle. She doesn't mind doing the weekly work with listening to the audiobook and doing some of the assignments that we don't do in our group. We just do the experiments and activities and stuff. Anyway, let's move on. The next thing I wanted to talk about was learning language arts through literature. We're on the Purple Book, which is for 5th grade skills. We started that back in February last year. So we're kind of doing like middle of 5th grade to middle of 6th grade for that book. I did look in her book, and she is almost finished with lesson 29. So next week she will be through lesson 30. There are 36 weeks, and I think that she'll probably be finished with that by the end of January for sure. And so she'll be very excited about that. She is very ho-hum about whatever language arts curriculum she uses. We've used many different things over the years. In fact, if you're interested in a video just about all the language arts that we've tried, I'm happy to do that if you're interested. Anyway, it's a Charlotte Mason style, and it's very low key. Like, it's minimal work every day. She actually does all 5 days worth of work on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So I have her double up on the first 2 days, and then on the last day, she kind of has a lighter day. But I know she'll be really glad to be done with that kind of soon. So that's kind of how everything's going with my daughter. Now let's go ahead and talk about how things are going with pre-K for my son and my little daughter, because she joins us too. So last month, a friend of mine had emailed me saying that there was a really great video on the Rainbow Resource YouTube page about the curriculum called ABC, See, Hear, Do. Yes. And so I watched that video. I'll link that down below for you if you're interested in like a alphabet instruction and then also beginning reading. Anyway, so she wanted me to see what I thought about that program, and I wound up watching the video, and then I thought, my son would probably really like that. So I reached out to the company and asked if they might send it to me so that I could review it here on my channel, and they very graciously did. And so I received the ABC See, Hear, Do curriculum and activity guide. This is the uppercase letters. That's level 1. And it also came with the book that you use to show the letters and sounds. And it's a very different approach. So you see the letter, you hear the sound, you do the motion. And my son is really, really liking it. Even my little daughter, who's 2.5, she is remembering the sounds as well. So that's pretty cool. Then there's also this handwriting practice booklet and the coloring book. And then there's a flashcard set of all of the letters and the animals that go with them. And then this we would be able to do kind of towards the end once he's learned the sounds and the words and all of those things. So I'm going to be doing a dedicated video on that program, but you guys, I'm really liking it. And so we are definitely going to be continuing. My son also really still enjoys doing the All About Reading pre-reading level. So we are still doing those letters as well. So we're kind of doing 2 at the same time. And I know that seems a little crazy, but in my opinion, if they ask for it and they want to do it, they're probably going to learn a lot more than if you're forcing it. So I just roll with it, and we're doing just 2 different programs. In the All About Reading, we are through let's see, I think S is our next letter that we're working on. So we've done, what is that, like 20 letters so far? And they're very simple. He really likes to play the games. And so we play those games. Usually it's about rhyming or counting how many sounds are in a word, and just really good phonemic awareness skills. So yeah, we're just doing both and going pretty slowly through All About Reading, honestly. And this, we're just doing one letter every other day. And we're doing this about 2 to 4 days per week so far. So I'll keep you posted, and definitely look for that video on this program if you're interested in something for your pre-K or kindergarten student as well. For our morning time, we do still do the Gentle and Classical Press preschool like memory statement board most mornings of the week. That's usually Tuesday through Friday. We don't do it on Mondays. And that is going pretty well still. We are going to be starting week or unit 9, I believe, next. And we'll be doing that at the beginning of December. So I plan to just continue using it until we're done. And honestly, to me, it doesn't really matter when we finish. We're kind of going, we've been kind of transitioning to a more year-round approach to homeschooling anyway. We did that this last school year, and it really helped, I think, with easing into our school year this year. And so I am not rushing through anything. We're just doing the next thing on the next day. And if we don't get to something, I am not letting it bother me. I'm still using my quarterly planning sheet. And basically the way that I'm doing that is I highlight things when we finish something. And then when we get to the end of that term plan, if there's anything that we haven't gotten to yet, I just move that over into the next term. I haven't put anything in the next term's planning sheet yet at all, because honestly, I just don't want to have to redo anything. And so I just figure if I leave it blank, then I don't have to fix anything later, and I can just plug in what we've done, where we're at, and keep on rolling. It's just really helpful for me to have that, because I'm kind of a box checker, and if I have something to kind of mark off, then it just, I don't know, it helps me kind of think about where we're at in different curriculum and things like that. One last thing that I did really want to make sure not to forget is this new Mom's Weekly checklist of things done that I made. I got this idea from Brittany over at Deeply Rooted Home, and I will link to her video of this down below. But this is a color-coded checklist that I laminated, and so it shows me what subjects we're going to kind of have for each day. And I just use a wet erase marker to mark off when we're done. That way it doesn't smear or rub off if my little girl gets a hold of it or something. But the way that it works is that I put it in the order of kind of how we normally do school. And obviously every day is a little bit different. It sometimes changes, but I've color coded everything. Purple is something that we all do together. Everything that's green is for my daughter. And then everything that's blue is for my son / little kids. And this is going really well. And you just put a color, and she had suggested in her video having the colors over here be a little bit lighter than the ones over here on the subject side. And it's working out really well for us. So I just check off each of the things that are done. And you'll notice here that these things are white, which means that we don't do them that day. So lots of things in this area are only once or twice a week. And it's going really, really well. I actually really like this. It's motivating to me to mark something off. And this way I can just have it and erase it instead of having to print out a brand new one every single week. My daughter has a weekly checklist that I print out for her every single week, and she likes to mark it off with her pencil. And the reason why I don't do this for me is because I don't need to know the exact assignment for every single subject. I just want to have the subject marked off on mine. So that's why I don't like print a second one for myself or anything like that. Because originally I was kind of doing that, but then I also wanted to add my son's things on there. So this has been a game changer. I really like this. So I will definitely leave Brittany's video about that down below for you. What it has really helped the most with is working with my son and little kids, because I was kind of overlooking that and I don't know, just not getting to it every single day because, well, I have this to do and I have this to do, and it just would kind of get pushed to the back burner, and this helps me to actually get things done. So I'm really, really liking that tool. This video has gotten pretty long, so thank you for sticking with me. Go ahead and let me know how your homeschool is going this month and what you're most excited about for December. I really like December, and we pretty much do mostly regular school schedule for the weeks leading up to Christmas. We do our Advent study usually at night before bed, so I'm not thinking that it's going to affect much during the morning time, although if it seems like too much to do in the evening, we might switch it to the morning. We'll just kind of see how that goes. But otherwise, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below for me. Otherwise, I hope that your December is off to a great start and that you had a really nice Thanksgiving. And yeah, we will see you soon in another video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and we'll see you next time.